Still here, still wearing this same old Christmas jumper that I've lost a bet to wear. I am Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me is NJ.
What's up?
And we are the British Fist.
Catching!
We have already wished you a Merry Christmas, but we will also take this time to wish you a Happy New Year. And please this year, make some realistic bloody New Year's resolutions, because I know what you're all like. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to find a girlfriend. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop eating chocolate. But you never fucking do it, do ya? Exactly. And if you're American, I'm going to change the gun laws. Do it! Right, NJ. If you have any questions, put them in that comment section down below. And we're going to start off with questions from RFV089. Mr. Parkin. Thoughts on Wales, Northern Ireland and England making Euro 2016? I'm very happy that we got a couple of British Isles on the Euro 2016 model. I'm quite looking forward to England playing Wales in the group stage. I think that'll be quite funny. I also find it funny how you left Republic of Ireland off that as well, because the Republic of Ireland are also in Euro 2016. But guess who isn't in Euro 2016, NJ? You have England, you have Wales, you have Ireland, you have Northern Ireland.
Scotland.
Exactly. And we can all laugh at that, can't we, you Scottish bastards? Anyway, don't matter. But no, I think if Scotland went through, I would have been very happy. I mean, we would have had four great British nations, and then we would have had Republic of Ireland in there. That would have been very good. With more
like WWE group, faction,
yeah, like the League of fucking Nations.
That's it. Yeah.
Hoping England win, but they won't. Mr. Parkin, where would you rank Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of the greatest player you've seen in your lifetime?
Quite low.
Well, to be honest with you, I started watching football mid-90s. I saw Eric Cantona play. I've seen Roy Keane play, David Beckham, most Man United greats play. But in terms of rankings, I would have to put Cristiano Ronaldo up there. I mean, the guy... Him and Lionel Messi are the two best players of this generation. They're dominating world football at the moment in terms of the amount of goals they're scoring and the influence they're having on their teams. Lionel Messi more so, in my opinion. But in my lifetime, I've seen players like Zinedine Zidane, Luis Figo. I could name so many. But Cristiano Ronaldo is someone that I've watched ever since my early Man United days. I remember him coming through United in 2005, coming on for Bolton. Coming on for Man United versus Bolton as a substitute. I remember watching him then and falling in love with the guy immediately and the guy's step-overs. So I would rank him up very highly up there, even though I think Lionel Messi is better, because I saw him when he first debuted for Barcelona. I remember how good he was when he was in the team of Barcelona, when Ronaldinho was in there and Eto'o was in there. So I like Ronaldo, but I have to rank Messi higher, in my opinion. I just would. Finally, NJ can talk now. Thoughts on Orton's heel work back in 2009 where he kicked Vince McMahon in the head and hissed an unconscious Stephanie McMahon? Yeah, some of the best work he's done. That's one of the reasons why we love watching the Best of Raw 2009, because we get to see all that stuff all over again.
I'm going to comment this hands down. This was absolutely brilliant, and it spotlighted Orton whilst, there was all the love of Cena. He was getting spotlighted. He was going to get Triple H, who I've said before, this was one of my favourite, if not my favourite Orton feud. And the fact is, he went after the McMahon family, which, if you look in the Attitude Era, was always hot and on fire. The fact it involved Vince getting knocked out, Stephanie, Triple H's frustration, matches came from that. I can compliment this so much.
Yeah, I think it was definitely Orton's best work as a heel. Especially when he kicked Vince McMahon in the head and kissed an unconscious Stephanie McMahon. I think they really kicked the boat out to get heat on Orton there. So yeah, I was a massive fan of Orton's heel work back in 2009. It's just a shame that it led to that match with Triple H at WrestleMania 25 and how bad that was compared to what it really should have been in a lot of people's opinion. And then the next year he was pretty much turned babyface. So, great heel work, but then went to being a babyface next year. So it's kind of pointless, really, wasn't it? Robert Hernandez. When Triple H, Rock, Undertaker and Vince join the Hall of Fame, who do you see inducting them? We'll start off with Triple H. I mean, it has to be Shawn Michaels. They're best friends. DX and the history between them two. I mean, I think that would have to be.
The only other person would have been Ric Flair.
Yeah, I mean,
Manager, friend, yeah.
either Ric Flair or Shawn. There were so many people that could do it. I mean, you could even get like the old click in to do it, like a Kevin Nash or a Scott Hall or something. But
most likely Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels or Ric Flair, one of the two. Yeah. As for The Rock, I mean, I suppose. Go on. Mick Foley would be good for that.
Oh, true.
Because of the Rock and Sock connection, and I'm sure there are plenty of family members that would want that really want to do it for the Rock. But I think Mick Foley, Austin, of course, could do it because him and the Rock were so. I mean, there are so many people that could. I mean, even a Vincent Mann could do it. It would be that's what it would be like. As for the Undertaker, I mean, judging by history, I think it has to be Kane. I mean, if Paul Bearer was still with us, I think Paul Bearer probably would have done the induction, but unfortunately he's not. R.I.P. Paul Bearer. But Undertaker would definitely have to be done by Kane at this present point, I would think. And Vince McMahon, I'm not sure he would ever enter his own Hall of Fame. I think there's like an unwritten rule with regards to Vince joining his own Hall of Fame, so I'm not sure he ever would. But if he did, I imagine it would probably make him very proud to have his daughter, or maybe even Shane McMahon, induct him into the Hall of Fame.
I was going to say the McMahon family still have not. Sadly, I should say Shane.
All the McMahon family.
If you brought Shane for this, why not? Linda and Triple H instead, why not?
Yeah. Could you see Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, and AJ Styles be in the WWE? And if so, what way NXT or main roster? Well, I know Austin Aries hasn't he signed some kind of deal with NXT? I remember reading some news about it. I kind of didn't really pay much attention to it, but I read that he was in some sort of deal with NXT. Maybe it was a one-night only thing.
He's meant to be in the crowd for some of the shows as well, so there's something brewing there.
Bobby Roode, I think he's too old now to be really pushed on the WWE roster. I mean, I think the guy's approaching 40 at the moment, but I think he could have some use in the NXT brand, like a lot of these guys could, in my opinion.
Bobby Roode, we've said this from early days of doing our TNA reviews. He's a guy alongside James Storm who could have quite easily stepped up.
James Storm is in NXT.
Well, he is.
Why can't Bobby Roode? Imagine if they brought back the Beer Money Tag Team in the NXT. Exactly. As for AJ Styles, I think we've given our opinion on AJ Styles. I'm not sure if he did come back, it would be an NXT role. It wouldn't be on a main roster role. No. I couldn't see it putting him on the main roster personally. But it'd be interesting to see maybe if like a Samoa Joe eventually gets on the main roster, if it happens. Then it would be interesting to see maybe if people follow him into NXT and maybe get the same treatment just because, they've seen a guy get promoted from NXT, from going from TNA to NXT, then to the main roster.
There's been many thoughts and stories, again, of Triple H being very high on getting as much talent as they can, at least stepping towards NXT or coming into NXT. So if he wants to grab more TNA wrestlers, ROH wrestlers, I don't see why not. Name power coming to his company, why not?
James Thomas, who is your favourite jobber? I have a few, actually.
I do. Yeah.
I thought Mean Street Posse were quite funny jobbers back in the Attitude Era. I also think Kai and Tai were somewhat funny jobbers as well, especially in the 2000 Royal Rumble where they never even entered and they got eliminated like 3 or 4 times. There's been many funny jobbers out there. They're two groups that I can think of.
Shark Boy.
I don't remember Gilbert.
Oh,
is that basically a rip-off of Goldberg?
Real small version, yeah.
Right, okay, I see. Yeah.
Shark Boy.
Zach Allen was a jobber, really, was he?
Boy, face thing.
Well, he was an underdog. Okay, yeah. I don't know. What about Santino? Would you class him as a jobber? No? Would you not class him as a jobber?
No!
Not scared of the Cobra. Christ's sake, we're not... Kayfabe doesn't work on YouTube. Heath Slater, yeah. Favourite jobber. Favourite jobber, though. They'd be your favourite jobber?
Oh dear, terrible.
Sir the Fish Lord Mark. With John Cena leaving WWE for a short time for personal reasons after Hell in a Cell, which turned out to be a TV show, there's a few questions to be asked.
Okay.
Question 1. How will WWE cope? LOL Cena wins will not be seen or heard of. Well, the simple answer to that question is, well, we know now that they didn't cope because their ratings went down to a 2.1.
Is that Cena's fault?
And probably not. But how will WWE cope in the sense that they pushed Roman Reigns, they got loads of injuries,
You heard about Hell in a Cell? We want Cena at Hell in a Cell.
Really?
Not Hell in a Cell.
TLC?
TLC. Yes, that was terrible. Yeah, that's it. That's what I need.
That's what you need.
It was horrible, and I personally think time without Cena is a good thing, even though he was in the US. So I wouldn't really say the W didn't cope with, because when he comes back, I'm sure the reigns are still going to be somewhat
low. Yes.
low. So I personally think it's not Cena that's made the reigns happen. So I think they've coped okay without him, but things have gone against the WWE since he's been gone.
So let me get this straight. At TLC, people were wishing for Cena back. What did they chant again? We want Cena.
We want Cena.
No, Cena sucks. We want Cena.
During the
wow, but things have got bad when the fans want John Cena back. But I think John Cena being away did somewhat affect the ratings in a way. I really did, because without John Cena, what is there on the show? I mean, we saw, even with Cena, the show was virtually unwatchable for a lot of people, and it's no real surprise that they lost a lot of casual audiences during that time. Question 2: how will WWE Creative fuck this up? Because they can't seem to write anything decent, but they need to write a story of somewhat regarding his absence. So how could that? Well, it's not hard for them to fuck it up. I mean, the WWE Creative team has fucked a lot of shit up this year. So I'm not surprised that there was a time that there was a long period of time where nothing ever seemed to happen on Raw. I mean, I don't watch Raw, but I listen to a lot of podcasts and people's reviews and thoughts and theories, and a lot of people have just said how lately the show has just been garbage to watch. I mean, I watched your Raw rundowns afterwards with OKFave, and it seems to me like, whenever they come to you, NJ, it just seems to me like you're just not into it, or you're just not into the show or something.
I can't say it's anything to do with Cena. Forget that. I think overall, the company. I uploaded an old video that Mr. Parkin did.
Oh, the rut thing.
Rut, and I think 3 years later, still the bloody same.
I probably uploaded it around this time of year 3 years ago as well. That says a lot. It's always at this point. But not necessarily because of John Cena.
No.
It's just because, in general, the product and the creative direction of the product has just not been very good. So I don't think Cena is necessarily to blame for that, but you may have helped if he was there still. But he can't be there all the time, and he's not going to be there forever.
The effed up part, I think, could possibly come in his return. So I'm going to go against what we said in our last Q&A. We've said that he's possibly going to come back, win the Rumble, go after Reigns, and that is not going to make fans overly happy. Yeah, there are fans that be happy to see him, but he's coming back, winning the Rumble on his return, just so he can face Reigns. I think that's going to be somewhat effed up, because fans are going to be complaining, booing, not liking this idea. But there's going to be some fans who would love it, but I think that's where the effed up part might come in.
The effed up, as in get the F out, WWE.
All that stuff.
Renegade Man 83. Thoughts on the mechanics, aka Dash and Dawson winning the NXT Tag Team Championships? Well, they won the titles, didn't they? Injure one of the Vaudevillains or something like that when they won the title. Dash and Dawson always came across to me as a bit of a dud, not a dud tag team, but a bit of a jobber tag team. So them winning the NXT Tag Team Championships to me feels a bit, just feels like that shouldn't really happen.
I feel that they were a tag team that should have captured it, but again, NXT London, why did they not drop the titles to Enzo Amore and Big Cass? I don't know why, because the fans were cheering them. Their title reign had been long enough in some way. So I'd say that, okay, give it to them, good, they've had their time, but you've missed the opportunity to pass the championships on.
I don't know how have Dash and Dawson improved, or I'm not sure. I haven't seen them work in a while, but just seems to me like a bit of a second-rate tag team champion, in my opinion. Who do you see becoming NXT champion first? Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, or Samoa Joe? Well, you can eliminate Samoa Joe off that list, because I don't think they'll ever give him the NXT championship. I think he'll always be one of those guys that puts over an NXT champion, but will never actually be the champion. So it's really between Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. And Baron Corbin has been on the roster a lot longer than Apollo Crews, so I'm more led to believe that Baron Corbin would get it. But Apollo Crews has come on the scene, and he's really lit a few fires, hasn't he? He had that match with Finn Balor. He's had a feud with Baron Corbin, which actually I believe Baron Corbin won. I believe was he involved in NXT London in any way?
That's the match.
That was the match they did, was it?
And Corbin beat.
Who won that?
Corbin beat.
Baron Corbin beat Apollo Crews. Wow, I would assume Apollo Crews would have won that match. So I'm inclined to say Baron Corbin because he's been on the roster a lot longer, but it seems like WWE are sticking a rocket ship up Apollo Cruz's ass as well.
Here's my take. I think that even though Corbin won at NXT London, Cruz is going to come back and get his win. Maybe it'll be a number one contendership. I don't know what they're going to do there. If not, even though Samoa Joe lost at NXT London, I still think because of the quality of that match, I don't think Samoa Joe is going to drop too far away from possibly going for it again. So out of all three, Joe wouldn't be surprised, but I'm going to go towards Apollo Crews.
Do you think Emma should have been part of the Divas Revolution? No, because like the whole point of the Divas Revolution was to bring new blood in that people didn't necessarily know about that they could have pushed early. But Emma was already brought up to the main roster, and she was with Santino, and it never really worked out. So I don't think Emma should have been a part of the Divas Revolution. I don't think Emma should have been brought up the way she was. I think they should have done a lot more with Emma. And maybe it would have been better if she was part of this Divas Revolution and they kept her on NXT for a bit longer. I don't know. But if she hadn't have already been brought up, I'd have said definitely Emma should have been part of the Divas Revolution, especially considering the kind of push she was getting in NXT before she actually got brought up.
I personally think that having her in the Divas Revolution would have been an idea, especially when you've seen the transformation of Emma on NXT from the dancing Santino
to the
stuff.
Dana Brooks sidekick.
But I think she needs more time on NXT for fans to capture this change in Emma before she got moved with the Divas Revolution. So I think I'm glad that she didn't.
Zach Harris. When Triple H and Stephanie do eventually take over the company from Vince, I wonder how long that'll actually be. Do you think the product will change much, or will it be relatively the same? I mean, at the end of the day, I think Vince McMahon will have some kind of say in the WWE and the way it's run from a business standpoint. But if they do give power to Triple H and Stephanie from a product standpoint, then I can see some changes happening. Although I do think that at the end of the day, Stephanie McMahon is going to have more power than Triple H. And I think that one of those two is going to... we've seen the kind of things that Stephanie and Triple H have done behind the scenes with Vince McMahon's shackles. And I think Stephanie would still carry that on. I think out of the two, Triple H would be the kind of guy that would want to change things a little bit more for the WWE.
I do think that because we've heard some things about Triple H and Vince having some conflict and arguments and decision-making over stuff, and Triple H's creation of NXT with Stephanie by his side with her own ideas, especially hopefully for the Divas division, I can see many changes because Triple H is... Everyone's been saying, oh, there won't be much change because we're still going to be in the PC, PG stuff. But I still think the way Triple H's mind works with Stephanie by his side, they're bound to do some positive changes that's more leaning towards fans than what Vince is.
I don't know. I still think it will stay relatively the same. But that's just me. That's just because I look at the characters on WWE and I just think, wow, what are they doing with these guys? And I think without much star power, you're not really going to be able to improve the product as much unless you do try and create new stars and you do try and create a new John Cena, so to speak, or even maybe more than one, which WWE doesn't seem to want to do nowadays. I don't know. Final question from Zach Harris. Who are some people currently on the NXT roster who you just cannot see making it to the main roster for whatever reason? Well, I know he's made it to the main roster now, but I could never see Tyler Breeze making it to the main roster.
Adam Rose for me, but it's happened.
Exactly. I'm trying to think of people on NXT.
Well, after watching NXT London, I saw all the talent. They were all really good. They all put on a great performance, and I personally am struggling myself to see who could not have made it.
I mean, CJ Parker was one of those guys that I couldn't see making it to the main, and he never did. He actually left the company, I believe, with his own terms at some point. I mean, you are right. I mean, when you see them perform that way in that environment, which is essentially the same as the main roster, you can't help but think that maybe, that maybe they can, be part of the main roster. But at the end of the day, I think the conditions on being on the main roster are a little bit different to NXT. I mean, NXT are focusing a lot on hardcore fans and more smarter fans, whereas when you're on the main roster, you've got to focus on those fans and more casual fans as well. So I don't think it's exactly the same, but I think a lot of people on the NXT roster could easily go up to the main roster, and if they were treated as they were treated in NXT on the main roster, they could do somewhat well. But as for people that I cannot see making it to the main roster, the only people I can really think are jobbers. You know, Angelo Dawkins. I can't see him making it to the main roster, even though I did see a little bit of potential in him. I didn't see the Braun Strowman ever making it to the main roster, but he did in the end. I remember when he was a Rosebud, I was thinking, what the fuck are they ever going to do with that guy? You know, maybe a lot of the. I was going to say Eva Marie, but I think she will eventually make it to the main roster. A lot of these guys that have been signed from Tough Enough, the latest, I don't think they'll ever make it to the main roster.
I'm actually looking at the tag teams, even though I think.
Oh, Dash and Dawson will never make it to the main roster.
There we go.
I don't think they. I mean, it just screams blandless to me. Their tag team. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just haven't seen them perform at their best. I don't know, but they just scream blandless. Really, that's all it is. I mean, there are some like. What about? I mean, Shad Gable and Jason Jordan. Can you see them on the main roster? Have you ever really seen them? I mean, I know Shad Gable's over, but I could see them on the main roster, but I just wonder if they will ever get on the main roster. There are just so many better tag teams out there that are better than them.
There is one that I don't think will make it, even though I can't remember the tag partner. You've got...
Not the Forward Villains.
I think Vince will change them. I don't think Vince would keep them as they are.
You don't think he'd have them as like a comedy act? You think he would try and change them?
I think he'll try and change them in some way, like he did with what was their names?
The Lucha Dragons.
No, the
Ascension.
Ascension. He tweaked them a little bit, and they didn't work.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a bit of a depressing note to end this year on, wasn't it? But there we go. Any New Year's resolutions you have before we leave this video, NJ? Let's think of some realistic ones.
Okay, we're in a WWE environment. Is anything wrestling related? I could say continue to try and support the WWE, but as you've seen over last year, my confidence in the WWE has been knocked. So I'm sorry I cannot give you that one this year.
Can't blame you.
New Year's resolution is to keep getting some gains, getting some proper guns.
Keep getting some guns, you mean, unlike the, but obviously above the law guns like these.
Oh yeah, we don't want to start being, yeah.
My New Year's resolution this year is to try and diet a little bit better, try and eat a little bit better. Like I've recently lost about half a stone over a month, and that's literally just because I've been doing my biking as I usually do and not eating fast food. So I think one of my New Year's resolutions is to stop eating so much fast food, and also to get my fucking eyes tested, because I've only got one pair of glasses, and I've had these for like 8 years. It's going to have to happen at some point, isn't it? Anyway, you can tell us your New Year's resolutions if you want. I mean, we won't add them to our Q&A list, but you can definitely tell them. And maybe if you tell us them, you will fulfill them. I don't know. But anyway, have a very happy New Year from the British Fist, and I'm going to leave NJ to outro you out, because he always does I do the intros, he always seems to do the outros. It's just the way it works out here. Last outro of the year, NJ. Come on, make it good.
Okay, people, this is the British Fist, your friends of many, many years, and the friends who would like to wish all a very happy new year. May this day going forward bring you many reasons to smile, just like we will continue to do so every Q&A. Thank you very much for watching, YouTubers. For Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, goodbye 2015, hello 2016. Till next time, YouTubers, goodbye.